Well, here goes nothing. Here goes nothing. Let's share this. What do you say? What do you say? Oh, say, can you share this stream? We will be starting here shortly because, change of plans, and that's how things roll. Sorry for the late start. We're getting ready to begin in just a moment. I am waiting for things to load because nothing wants to load. All right. In a world of constant aggravations. Here we go. Sharing. Let me copy that link there. And we will get this party started here in just a moment. And then sharing. There we go. Got it. Ta-da! Yes, all right. Hello. What's up, Chase? Thank you for sharing. Getting this started here in just a moment. I've got to share everything myself at the moment. Anthony's not here. If you guys can help me out in any way possible, that would be greatly appreciated. Got it on Minds. Getting it on the Discord now. And tonight, you all are going to learn why wearing the masks you think is so cool is absolutely blatantly racist. So stay tuned for that, of course. All right, sharing on the Discord and over on the Telegram. All right, I believe I can close all those out now and begin my journey. Shall we? Hey, what's going on, Jim? Thanks for joining us tonight. It's going to be a good one. Alrighty. And guess what, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Unframe of Mind show where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. Well, there you have it. The threat has been neutralized. Trump is no longer in office, and things can just continue on as they were, business as usual. Stay tuned for all that tonight on the Unframe of Mind show.
Listening to the Unframe of Mind show, the place to have the most mind-stretching, unprotected, intellectual intercourse of your life. Your hosts battle the forces of evil by lobbing fiery balls of truth, reason, and evidence over safe room walls.
And there we go. All right, so I gotta address this. We got a couple things need to address right up front. Obviously, no Anthony here tonight. He ended up getting called into work and couldn't make it, so I'm able to roll quick on my feet. And I decided to go with a completely different direction than what was originally planned. The original plan was to try to guide Anthony through purchasing his first Bitcoin and then taking you guys along for that journey so you can kind of get an idea what that process looks like depending on what level of security you're looking for. We will get to that. Bitcoins ain't going nowhere, so we have time. So I decided to go ahead and hit on a few things. The biggest thing that's been on my mind is the fact that, Trump's out of office, and I'm just very interested in seeing the fallout and how people respond to it. And more importantly, the things that suddenly aren't happening anymore. So I'm gonna bring all those up later on. I do need to address this comment here. Krista says he says impressive beard. That's her husband. Thank you. I actually did freshly brush and beard butter this bitch. You like that little alliteration, right? I did take care of it so you guys could have a nice fancy beard to look at. Anyway, I take care of this thing. It's not as easy as it looks. Okay, I'm telling you what. When I got up in the morning this morning, because I lay on my side, rolled over. This whole side was, you know how your hair gets, that poof, that peacocky kind of, poof on. My beard was doing that number, and it was hilarious. So, that being said, let's get on with the show tonight. I am your host, Daniel Wagner, and tonight we're going to be talking about some shit. And I want to start with the phobismist and explain to you guys why masks are racist. You're going to love this. So, stay tuned for that.
Phobismist. Phobismist. Phobismist.
And today on the Phobismist, I am going to explain to you guys why masks, yes, masks, those innocuous little pieces of face coverings that we all walk around proudly wearing as if we're protecting our fellow man, they're actually making you a racist. And you don't know this yet, but you're about to find out. And I'm going to tell you why. Now, for those of you who have not seen this segment of the show, the Phobismist is where I explain to everybody why you should be offended by literally everything in the world. So tonight, I'm going to explain why masks are hugely offensive and racist. Yeah, racist. You wouldn't think, but they are. Even black people wearing face masks are racist too. You just stay tuned. Check this out. So I just want to tell folks, don't wear them. Don't wear them. And I mean, yes, they may protect you from a world deadly virus, a pandemic and whatnot, but that's definitely not as important as not being seen as a racist. I mean, if you've seen the media lately, anything you do, say, or act, could be construed as you being racist, and people want to avoid that. You really don't want to be labeled as a racist, especially if you're actually not a racist, because that would be really bad. So what I want to point out is, much like a wheelchair helps people get around, and much like, say, a ladder helps short people get a little bit taller, the face mask, it actually is a tool to help people be better at mumble rapping. Yeah, that's true. Mumble rapping. You didn't know this, but every time somebody wears a mask, it makes it really hard to understand what they're saying. And it actually increases their skill level in the mumble rap arena. And what that is cultural appropriation, because as we know, most people that do mumble rap happen to be of the African American persuasion, and we do not want to take that away from them. I mean, black people fight hard enough to get the things that they have earned in today's society, and the last thing we want to do is take anything away from them at all. So what you need to do is stop wearing masks, because every time you wear one, you are contributing to a much larger problem. And you're pretending like you're a mumble rapper, and you're really just not. So, yeah, that's all I had. That's all I had. So, all right, so let's move on. I hope y'all enjoyed that. I do enjoy trying to feign like I'm offended by everything. It's hilarious. And what's even more hilarious is when I'm trying to come up with something to pretend offended by, and I end up running across articles where people have literally already wrote what I am about to satirically say. It's hilarious, and it really kind of puts a damper on my job. It's like, I thought I was the professional phobismist, but apparently I'm still just a young man in training. All right. Jim asks, is that why I can't tell what you're saying when we're working? Dude, you know I don't wear no mask. Except I am working on advancing my mumble rap career. That's a fact. No doubt. All right, let's see here. So, figure out where the hell I was at. Oh, by the way, there was one I was wanting to bring up a while back. Yes. That's what I want to do.
Phobismist. Phobismist. Phobismist.
And on this episode of the Phobismist impromptu version, One Direction, the band, they don't go both ways. Homophobic. Okay, that's it. That's all I had. By the way, I am taking those, every one of these, especially the good ones, or at least in my opinion, the good ones, I'm taking them and compiling them into what I'm going to be giving away as like a free ebook later on, where you can just share them around and let other people see all the things that they can be offended about. All right, we've got a number of things. I got a rim shot. So Yeah, there was a joke I heard. I'm gonna throw this out there because Anthony likes to rap on a joke, but I'm gonna put it out now while it's still on my mind. And anyway, so never blame anyone else for the road that you're on. That's your own asphalt. I need another rim shot, Lady Della. Thank you. That one tickled me when I heard it. So I'm gonna get started here on the main topics, and I want to bring attention to this particular post I put up on Minds. As soon as it's going to load up here. So the basic idea is that the greatest trick. It's not. Are we going to load anytime soon? It's definitely not Facebook yet, is it? So basically, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince you that America was great again, and that Donald Trump was the devil. Still not loading. Well, okay. So anyway, John Galt. Yeah, Minds is. Yeah, Minds is great. I absolutely love it. It's not quite to, from a development standpoint, it's not quite up to Facebook standards. But to be fair, they don't have, a whole army of people working on it at the same time. I'll get it figured out. Anyway, here's the idea. The basic idea is that the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince you that America was great again, and that Donald Trump was the devil. And what I mean by this is we have this. There's a lot of things going on out there that I'm noticing where people are not acting as they normally would because they're kind of become complacent. If you already think everything's great again, you're not going to get up and act. You think everything's fine. Why would you be mad? As long as Donald Trump's in charge and we're keeping America great, assuming suddenly it was, then you won't act. You won't do anything. All right, from the comments. Yeah, okay. John Galt from Censorship Sucks. He's actually over there on the Minds app. I was on his show recently to talk about the DC trip. And he is going to be interviewing Chase Matheson tomorrow. That's awesome. All right. So yeah, there's this thing, this like QAnon, for example. Every time we hear about this new thing, this new big plan that's coming to fruition, and things are happening, things are going down, and you're watching this, and people who believe it they feel like it's already under control. And I see the same issue with just statists in general, people that believe that the state is the answer. They feel like, as long as I pay my debt to society, as long as I pay my little piece of taxation, regardless of whether I agree or disagree about where it's going, generally they feel like the problem's being taken care of. If the problem is poverty and I'm being taxed to help with welfare benefits, then I'm less likely to contribute to local charities and things like that, where my dollars could have a much larger impact. And there's a lot of this stuff going on that's like they got this dampening effect that keeps people complacent and keeps them in their spot where they're not actually feeling urged and driven to actually do anything about the issues, even though all the issues most people agree are right there in front of our faces. It's a really strange thing hearing people talk about it but not act, not actually do. And not actually go out and, make your voice heard and do the things that need to be done. Now, I understand. I'm not trying to lay a blanket across everybody and say that, everybody does this or doesn't do this. But in general, I do get a sense that the things we're seeing come out, especially as far as you see all these issues with BLM, with Antifa and things like that, where they're put in front of you as this big, huge issue. Everybody gripes about it. And then suddenly when these folks aren't needed anymore, we don't hear about it. Matter of fact, if you'll go onto Andy No's page over on Twitter, he's constantly putting up videos that are currently going down right now where people are still rioting in the streets of Portland. People are still breaking windows. People are still, and I hear it reported somewhat on the right, because obviously they have an incentive to do so. But you're still having a lot of destruction, a lot of chaos, a lot of people, breaking into buildings, spray painting shit everywhere. And it doesn't benefit the media, so we don't hear about it. It doesn't get people afraid the way it, is intended to do, so we don't hear about it. Sonic says, people didn't vote for Biden because they like him. They voted for him because they hate Trump. Well, yeah, I agree with that. And I do want to address that later in terms of Biden inadvertently becoming the great unifier between folks. And quite frankly, I still can't buy the fact that many people voted. Like, hate is a good driving force, but vision is a much stronger driving force historically. Typically, when you have these elections where one side is driven by hate, people don't tend to turn out in the numbers that they appeared to have turned out in this election. I have a really difficult time believing that Donald Trump, after being called a complete racist for 4 years, just the worst, most terrible man, literally Hitler in every way, shape, and form, all of a sudden, he ends up getting more votes than he did the first time around and ends up breaking records. I mean, we're talking about the most voted for president in U.S. history, second now only to Joseph R. Biden in this election. Like, that doesn't make any sense. I mean, that if you just look at that fact alone and nothing else, like, does that actually make sense to you? I got to ask you. I got to ask people that. Does that actually make sense to you? So Lady Della says that's why his inauguration vid was unlisted due to more dislikes than likes. I call that the Kamala effect. She dropped out of the primary due to how hated she was. Jim says, what are you selling? It sounds like you have some swampland for sale. Cheaper than cheap. Free. No. I'll tell you what. I do have some oceanfront property out here in Tennessee for you if you want to buy it. If you believe the election was fair. John says Daniel was on our radio show last week and it went deep on January 6th. Amazing content. Check it out after the stream. Yes, please do that. Dang, it seems we all just went over. Yeah. Okay, so, man, I forgot I was showing videos over here. This is what happens when I don't have Anthony to talk. So we do have, again, Antifa never stopped. They never stopped. We had constant news coverage of these people when it was pertinent to the mainstream narrative. And now all of a sudden, nobody cares. Andy No still cares. He's still reporting on it. He's still out there on the streets talking about it. Nobody gives a crap. All of a sudden, the racist all disappeared. I mean, what do we do? Crawl back in our holes, all them racists, all them evil people? I mean, what happened? Well, what happened was the goal's been accomplished. You look on the mainstream media sources, and it's a joke. I mean, you literally have them painting this narrative of, angel versus devil, like this blatant, obvious false dichotomy where they're talking about Joe Biden like he's some kind of that whole, I'm sure you guys have heard it, the whole thing where they talk about the lights leading out to the Washington Monument representing Joe's arms outstretched to the American people, and just real flowery, buttery language that makes you feel good and makes it sound like he's just amazing. He's God sent, come from above to save us all. And when you contrast that up against what we've heard from the last 4 years about, literally the most evil man the world's ever known, it's got. I mean, the story time has got to be pretty obvious. I don't know how people miss it. All right, so let's go back to comments for just a moment here before I roll into the next thing here. Lady says when Biden was announced as president and Antifa kept on smashing it up, that should have warned you that they wouldn't let up. Yeah, John Galt says now they're arresting the useful idiots and BLM will be next. Yeah, I made a post just kind of stating that useful idiots destroyed this country, quite frankly. And when you hear, say, when you hear people talk about how brain fart, the comedian, I love him some, George Carlin, when he said that, think about the, how stupid people are, how stupid the average person is, and half of them are dumber than that, or what have you, whatever the quote was. And all these people get a vote, and all these people get to vote, even though there's a conflict of interest in what they're voting for. You know, if you receive benefits from the government, you should not have a vote. I'm sorry. If you earn welfare, you should not be allowed to vote yourself more welfare. That's just common sense, but nobody seems to get this. And I bring up all these different examples and all these posts of people who say the dumbest crap, like, oh my God, it's painful how dumb people are. And then I make sure to point out that these people get a vote too. And people are like, yeah, that's a great thriving democracy. That's how it should work. You know, nothing wrong with, you know, two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. All right. This is wild. I'm sitting here just floored at all the crap that's going on and the silence of the media suddenly. And it's that's the whole point of the episode here, was to point out that you know, the greatest trick the devil ever pulled was to convince you that America was great again and that Donald Trump was the devil, meaning there's both sides to this going on. You know, if you thought the Great Divide was solved when Trump entered office, you got another thing coming. Quite frankly, even if he was there on our side and trying to do what he need, I mean, there's so many things he could have done to show that. And I don't think that was ever actually fully represented. You know, for example, giving a pardon to Julian Assange, you know, that would have been I mean, you got people from both sides of the political spectrum that 100% agree that that would have been something that everybody wants. And he didn't do it. It was brought up to him. He said he'd look into it. I don't know if he looked into it. But why was Julian Assange not, you know, why was he not pardoned? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Sonic says the divided states of America. Yeah. That's right. And that's actually the topic of the entire book I'm working on, called Divide and Concur, where, you know, you people are responsible for this, ultimately. It's yes, we have a divided nation. We have a divide and conquer strategy that everybody who is paying attention recognizes and sees it clear as day. However, for people to actually change things, you need to do so. You got to quit playing the game. Okay, you got to quit playing the game. That's the point. That's the whole thing here. The whole solution is stop pretending like your U.S. government or whatever government you're a part of in the world is going to solve your problem. That you're going to hire a petition. That you're going to be able to take a corruptible system full of corruptible people and somehow get a moral, just a good result out of it. There's no way. It's like asking a thief to come into your house and just, you know, watch your stuff. Good luck with that. It's like this false sense of security we get thinking that the government's going to solve our problems. And if only my guy was in office, the problems that I see in the world will be solved. Definitely. If I can get just another one like Trump in there, suddenly my problems will all be solved. And then again, it makes people inactive. It makes people sit on their thumbs and not do anything. And that's not what we were all about. That's not what the forefathers started this country over. Back to the comments. Anyone, Chase Matheson from ChaseMatheson.com says anyone against drug legalization should replace the word drugs with guns and argue against legalization. Dude, that's a whole nother topic right there for sure. That is a whole nother topic. So I gotta ask you, you know, now that we're past the point of no return and Biden is your president, can we get past the part of being neutered as a moment or as a movement for freedom? You know, we got the QAnon controlled opposition BS that's been going on. It's kept all of us complacent. We've got the false narrative of racists running rampant in the nation. That's been keeping us complacent. Can we maybe get past that? Maybe stop falling for the trick? You know, that would be a huge step in the right direction, wouldn't it? Boy, I was going to bring something up and I can't remember what it was. All right. John Galt says, we've been doing daily live streams on Seeking the Truth 101 via Josh TV. If you ever want to join, say the word. I'm saying the word right now. I always want to join. I'm always down for having these conversations. And I know a lot of people are really hopeful that, in the next 4 years, Donald Trump will be back. And that's exactly why I think the media, for the most part, is going to be nonstop still pretending like Trump is the devil, because they were trying to do impeachment to keep him from running in 4 years. All right, so I've got a graphic brought up for those listening in the podcast audience. It's a meme that I made a while back, and it says, one should be suspicious if it seems there is a perfect split between two sides of an issue and you're being pressured to choose one. And that's all we've seen in the media lately, and that's all we see from our social media feeds is like, and the algorithms even are pressuring us into choosing a side. Everything's a damn false dichotomy between black, white, between man, woman, and we know it, and we still keep falling for it. And I'm pleading with you guys, we got to do something. We got to make some moves other than trying to rely on choosing a side and hoping we choose correctly, because there's no right choice here. There's no right choice. All right, I do want to bring up that Biden, the great unifier. This is something that's been on my mind lately. If we've listened to Antifa, we know they don't like Biden. We know that they don't care who's in power. They've got a complete different agenda. Yes, the media and the elites were using them to their advantage, and now they don't need him anymore. But Antifa's not quitting. They don't like Biden. Nobody likes Biden. I've yet to find somebody that's like, yeah, Biden, he's my guy. I voted for him because this policy and this and this and this. Not a single fucking person in the entire, in my circle anyway. And I've got a pretty wide range of people in my circle. Nobody likes this guy. And it just might be the thing to unify everybody against the government. I don't know. Maybe it's just wishful thinking on my part. I don't know. But we'll see. Trump is no good. He's not your golden calf. All he did, this is from the comments. Sorry, Trump is no good. He's not your golden calf. All he did was create a cult-like following. P.S. Biden will be worse, in my opinion. Either way, America's doomed. So, I agree with that. I do agree with that. I know you've tuned in my channel a few times, Sonic, there, and called us all kind of names and whatnot, if you're the guy I'm thinking you are. And I've never really been, if you've followed along, Anthony was he's a Trump guy. He's straight up, Republican, America rah rah. I'm anarchist to the core. I've recognized, at least I feel like I've recognized that that's not the solution. It's not going to be the state is not the solution to any problem at all. Matter of fact, any problem that it tries to solve, it only makes worse every single time. So I'm not going to hold my breath that it's ever going to suddenly become a solution. I mean, we're not, we don't know everything, but that just seems to be the place where I've settled in. And what you're saying, Sonic, makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. It just kind of further thickened and deepened that crevice between the sides. Now, I'm not saying Trump was necessarily the cause of the divide, but he was definitely part of it. The media was part of it. We were part of it. We were the majority of it, to be honest. And if we can't sit there and look at each other and have the conversations that need to be had and have the disagreements that need to be had, bring back nuance, that would be great. Ross says, every political, economic, and ideological system in the 20th century has collapsed under its own weight, except one. The entire world had to work together to destroy fascism. All right. I think I can agree with that. I'm not sure which one, but I would imagine even fascism, given enough time, would just fall under its own weight too. There's a lot of people that are really rooting for it, though. There are actual fascists out there that believe this stuff. They're not as numerous as the media would have you believe, but they're out there. The Democrats and the Republicans are two cheeks of the same ass. Oh, I've always heard two wings of the same bird, but I think I'm going to start using that one now. I like that much better. You get too close to either one and you can smell the shit. Oh, that's fantastic. I love it. I love it so much. That is beautiful, man. All right. Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, so what do we do? I mean, I advocate for anarchism, and a lot of people are scared of it. They don't understand what it is. And I was talking to Jim the other day, who's in the comment section tonight, about that. And a lot of people don't even know what anarchism even is. And it just means no rule, no rulers. It doesn't mean no rules, but it just means no rulers. That's it. That's it. It just means you and I are responsible for you and I and our community, and we're self-reliant, what have you. We're not dependent on some other entity that has like a entirely set of other rules and laws that they get to follow. And no, it's just we all live with the same. It's the most equal playing ground you can possibly imagine. And I wanted to point out, a lot of people that hear about anarchism, they've got this image in their mind of chaos, Molotov cocktails. But, I mean, what are we looking at right now? I mean, you got a bunch of Antifa assholes claiming they're anarchists, but I'm sorry, that's just a bunch of assholes. I mean, that's not that's not at all what that problem will be solved real quick in an anarchic solution. There's a lot of people afraid to do anything because they're afraid they'll get implicated in it. But I can guarantee you, you got some asshole down burning our local business. I can guarantee you in one phone call, I can have 25 good old boys down here with shotguns going down there and taking care of that shit quick. People ain't going to deal with that. People are not going to deal with that. A lady says society has been trained to view anarchy as lawlessness, chaos, and destruction, which ironically is exactly what we have right now. Under our current system, lawlessness, chaos, and destruction. It's all it ever brings. And to think that you're going to, like, say you're going to go to a public school ran by the government, and the government's going to say anything at all that goes against who they are, that threatens their power, is ridiculous. You're not going to go to public school and learn what anarchy really is. The best example I can give people, and so far this has yet to be challenged, is the dating world. If you're going, the dating world it is anarchy for all intents and purposes. You have people that are you don't have a government body telling people who they can date, how many people they can date, the quality of women they can date. You don't have to get licenses to go on a date. You don't have to, pass some kind of certification or anything like that. You don't have all this bureaucratic red tape. You just do your thing. It's peaceful. We figured it out. Yes, you have assholes that go out there and take it too far. They're creepy. They start stalking. They even go so far as to rape. But to think that the only way to deal with rape is to pay some crooks in Congress to take care of it? No, there's other solutions. There's other ways that can be handled. And I would argue that this would be even less a problem if we didn't have these issues. But there's a number of... oh my God, there's so much wrapped up in what I'm even saying right now that I don't know which direction to go. So, let me see. Make sure I got all my notes here. I actually did not have a lot prepared due to the shifting nature of the show tonight. But I do want to change direction just a little bit. This came from a conversation I was having with somebody. I've got this on the Discord, which the link's down below in the comments. I've got a section that's a music channel that we can just go in there. It's a voice channel. You go in there and play music and stuff. And while I'm in there, I'll put on some music sometimes. I like to sing, and I enjoy practicing my vocals and whatnot. So I'll put on some music, and people can come in and join and listen and just, critique and what have you. Or I've got a music bot that plays, and you can play music. But I'm not trying to sell the Discord right now. What I'm trying to say is, while this was going on, we had somebody came in, we were talking, and it was interesting because when I'm in there doing what I'm doing and I'm trying to just unwind and relax, I'm trying to live in that moment, in that very moment. I think a lot of people have trouble with this, and just let me know in the comments if this is something that you struggle with too. We're so preoccupied with our futures and what's going on in the government, what's going on in the media, and what's going on, that we kind of forget to just stop and smell the roses, so to speak, that we have trouble like living in the now, in the moment, in the just breathing, letting go, and just being in the moment. The person I was speaking with kept wanting to take the conversation to other issues and other problems and other that had nothing to do with us in the moment of just enjoying the music, just talking, just how are you right now? What's going on in your world right now? Talk to people in on that level and see how different their whole body language becomes, how much more relaxed they become. Yes, they're dealing with their own life stresses and whatnot, but compared to what you see on the news, it's nothing in comparison. It's really not, for the most part. I know people have, but it was just interesting. And when you try to talk to people, pay attention to how much of their thoughts are preoccupied with world events that'll never have any impact on them. There's so much that I notice that people are so worried about everybody else, so worried about everything else, so worried about the future. And it's like, you got to stop, you got to breathe, you got to take a moment and just be in the moment, enjoy yourself, just focus on you for a minute if you have to, if you want to. And I don't know, I don't know if any of you have actually done that recently, or if you've taken the time to just be with yourself, if that's something you're even comfortable with. I need my alone time. I need it to recharge my batteries. This show's a lot of fun, but hanging out with people is a lot of fun. I like a social butterfly at times when it comes to these things, but when I'm by myself, I need to be in the moment. I got projects I work on where I'm just solely focused on that. I'm listening to music. I'm not, hanging out with my kids. We're playing games. We're in the moment, and I'm not picking up my phone and worried about what Biden's saying at that moment. I'm not worried about what Trump did or didn't do, or it makes a difference. It really does help. And I feel like that is a great way to, I know I'm trying really hard to quit falling into the tracks of preaching anarchy all the time, but honestly, if we can just focus on our own families, on our own problems, on our own communities and issues, that would be a much better representation of what a society could look like. I brought up the dating example. One thing about dating is it's already hard enough. It's already challenging enough. But imagine if you had somebody in Washington, D.C. that you had two guys voting, or two guys running for office. One of them feels like we got this one policy that's going to affect you, and this other guy's got a policy that's going to benefit you. And you're like sitting there getting angry on Twitter, trying to convince people that you need your guy to win. And here's why. Because by God, if the other guy wins, I will never date again. I will not have kids. I won't be able to, have a future I won't be able to propagate my genes into the future. Like that would be insane. But we do it with all these other issues, and it doesn't make any sense. Like there's no reason why I should be having to look at Twitter to keep up with what's going on in Washington, D.C. to make sure that, the world is moving in a direction that is going to benefit me or my family or my society. There's no reason for that. I should have literally zero of my time wrapped up in worried about what Nancy Pelosi is saying on the podium. I shouldn't have to give a shit, but I do. And it really pisses me off. It's fun. I mean, don't get me wrong. I enjoy the back and forth of it all. I enjoy the conversations that come out of it and the people I meet as a result. But by God, there's other ways to meet people. There's other activities you could be doing. There's other things you could be focusing on, probably should be focusing on. And every moment I'm focusing on those things is a moment I'm not focusing on what's important. My family, my own hobbies, my community, my issue, giving back to my local community. Like those are things I'm not focusing on. It's all about, balancing your time. That's why I just feel like it's really important to take a moment, be with yourself, enjoy the moment, turn off all that media shit for a few minutes and just be in the moment. It's super powerful. If you haven't done it, try it, man. I don't know. Sorry, I didn't mean to get on a rant there. Let me bring up the comments here for a second. Ross says, not explicitly, but almost every anarchist is atheist agnostic. Christianity is a religion based on hierarchy. We believe in both religious and secular authority. Now, I'll tell you what, that's one misconception I think about anarchism, is that there's no hierarchy, and that makes it impossible. Impossible. You literally cannot operate a world without hierarchy. And whoever injected that hierarchy bullshit into the narrative about what anarchy is a fucking idiot. Because that literally is impossible. I mean, you can, like, when I talk anarchy, I'm talking like voluntarism, where you voluntarily interact with people. You know, if I have, I'm going to trust the judgment of my dentist to do what needs to be done on my teeth. That is a hierarchy. He is clearly the more the authority in that situation. That makes no logical sense. And the lack of hierarchy issue is more in the anarcho-communist side of things, and they somehow feel like you can run a society where it's completely egalitarian and everybody's completely equal and equally powerful, and that's just not the case. People, like, you need the division of labor. You need people to be experts in their field. You need people to be authorities on their subjects. Like, nobody, otherwise nobody's an authority on anything, and you actually do have chaos. And in order for that to even be a reality, you do have to have some kind of a state to dictate that, to make that even a possibility. Lady says, good point, Daniel. Maybe they are using politics to avoid dealing with what's right in front of them, personal problems. You know, I don't feel like I said that, but it is absolutely true. I did hear some, I can't remember what podcast I was listening to. They were talking about this, how a lot of people focus on these issues that they literally don't have any control over, because they don't feel like they have any control over. I mean, it gives them almost the illusion they have control over these things, because they recognize that they don't have control over other issues in their life, like their personal problems that they're avoiding. They're not dealing with them. They're not talking and bringing up the things that need to be brought up in their personal relationships. And the more time we spend focusing on all that other bullshit, sports, Netflix, you know, whatever it is, it's time you're not spending dealing with the people in your life. It really does bother me when you get into a room full of people and everybody's on their phone. Like, I mean, I get it once in a while, you know, you happen to look up and everybody just happens to be looking. That's different than, you know, we've been sitting here for 30 minutes and nobody said anything. You know, two people in the same room and not a word was spoken in the last hour because we've been doing our own thing on our phones. That's not great. That's really not great. I like the acknowledgement of the other person is super important, and there's something to be said about those interactions and those conversations. They're difficult. You think the political conversations are difficult, the things that we're not supposed to talk about on the news. You think those are difficult. You know, try bringing up, you know, the abuse you suffered as a child at the hands of your parents to your parents. Try that. See what they say. I have a feeling a lot of you won't, because you know what they're going to say and you're avoiding because you want to maintain this illusion that everything's fine. We got this, you know, kind of relationship going on. You know, I got the obligatory phone call to mom. How you doing? How's the puppies? You're right, you know. But nobody ever brings up the actual hard issues, the difficult conversations. We keep avoiding them. Instead, we watch CNN. We bitch about what they're saying. That's definitely going to solve problems. Alec Forever from YouTube says, I've been watching Buster Keaton's silent comedies from 100 years ago. They're timeless, and it helps me relax. I will have to check those out. I'm gonna write that down. That's kind of cool. I assume they're on YouTube. Said Buster Keaton. I will check that out. Yeah, it's not, now for relaxation for me personally, it's not, you know, TV's not the big thing. You know, I'll put on some podcast or I'll put on some music or what have you, but I really need to be doing something with my hands. Like that keeps me going. Daniel Sonic asks if I've taken ecstasy. No, actually. I don't know if you mean in the moment or ever. Either way, the answer's still no. It's one I'd like to try, but I never did. Let me see. Anarchy equals freedom from rulers and thus hierarchies. Yeah, no. That's not accurate either. If you'll go back and look at older definitions of anarchy, the word hierarchy never comes up. And hierarchy has kind of changed in form and definition as well over time. I need to bring it back up. I've got screenshots from like my mom's dictionary from like, way back in the day, the old hardcover, big thick dictionary she has, and looking at the definition of anarchy versus modern day definitions of anarchy, which also do include no hierarchies, which is completely inaccurate, and it does taint the pool. It does taint the idea, which I think that's part of the reason people have started using the term voluntarism in place of anarchism, because it doesn't have that that stain on it, that visual stimulus that makes people recoil. Yolanda says, "Hey Daniel, it's Yodavation. Have a good show." Hey, thanks for tuning in. I spoke with Yodavation during the Censorship Sucks show that we were on. I was on 2 of their shows actually, and got to meet her. She's over on Minds as well. Really cool channel. Y'all check that out. All right, Ross says, "I'm not a dentist, but that doesn't make the dentist higher in the hierarchy. Hell, POTUS goes to the dentist." Well, when I say hierarchy, I'm not talking about government structure. I'm talking about, a hierarchy in terms of, at some point you have to submit to the authority of somebody else for some reason or another. And the dentist example was just one. And I don't know shit about teeth. I don't know. I barely even take care of my own teeth like I should. I'm sure a number of you don't. So, of course, I go into the dentist and I get my stuff handled. And in that case, there is a hierarchy between he and I. In this case, he's the authority on dentistry, and I would be the authority on the podcast front, because he always asks me about how I'm doing and what I'm doing with that, and always looking for information. So I'm kind of the authority in that particular. I think we just this needs to be a conversation where we actually define hierarchy and agree on a definition, because I think that feels like the sticking point tonight in the chats. All right, let's see if there's any more. Okay, I think, lady just asked, how is anarchy not freedom from hierarchies? And I think I just kind of answered that, I hope. Maybe we'll have to, like I said, go back and look at the older definitions and see what you can come up with. So I'm going to wrap this up, and we will be having our weekly private group member only Zoom call here in just a moment. You in order to get the link for that, you have to be a member of our groups either in Discord or Telegram, and both of those links are in the description below. So if you guys want to join us for that here in just a moment, I will be posting the link and look forward to that. And yeah. So let's see. I think that's everything I had to cover for tonight in such short notice. I think this came out pretty good for a impromptu show. I appreciate y'all tuning in the comments and whatnot, and giving me a lot of material to work with as well. Let me hop off here. I'm going to give that link to the private Zoom call chat. And again, if you have not attended one of these, it's just basically, it's not recorded. It's nothing like that. We just get in there and basically just have conversations, just the way we used to have conversations, face to face, talking, just hanging out, talking about whatever. I mean, it's a lot of fun, because you never know if we're going to be talking about, dirty jokes or serious issues. You never know what's going to happen. So come on in, and we'll be glad to have you guys along for that. And stay tuned for that. You guys have been watching the Unframe of Mind show, where we have uncomfortable conversations without a condom. I've been your host, Daniel Wagner. And if you guys can do me a huge favor and share or subscribe, do the things that need to be done to show the algorithms that you guys are interacting with this content, that'll help us grow. And we also do have a merch store I'd like you all to check out over on unframeofmind.com. It'll take you to Teespring for those. But we do have a number of things that I'd like you guys to go check out over there. I create my own designs. Probably my favorite one right now is the one that says pull your head out of your assumptions. That one right there, that one's a fun one. So be sure to check out our store, help us out, and we'll see you next week. Peace out.